Well, just wanted to share with you again some other things that you can sell to try to make ends meet. If you have things around your house that you haven't used in a long time, you have things maybe that you inherited from family members and it's just been sitting around collecting dust. You need to put gas in your car, you need that money. You can go ahead and start putting things on Facebook. It's called Facebook Marketplace. And you just go on there and you list the items that you have, clean them up. You're gonna have to take pictures. You could use your phone, you could use your computer, but it's easier on your cell phone. I learned to do a lot of business on my cell phone. So you can use those things to take and try to get them together that you can put them up there. It might take a while, but at the same time, it's a opportunity to put your items in the marketplace that people can buy from you and stuff. And if you're interested in doing shipping, you can do shipping on Facebook, but I would just start first of all with the local. Get those things together that you haven't been using, that's in the attic, and you need to take and turn it into revenue. And then I've already shared with you some of the things like Once Upon a Child for kids' clothes and kids' toys. I was driving down the street today and somebody had just put out some excellent condition children things and stuff. So I got a stroller, a nice stroller. I got two children's like little camping chairs and a tricycle. Looks look almost like new. But you can gather things up and stuff and put them up on the marketplaces and sell them. Ask people in your neighborhood who have children, hey, you interested? Grandparents, a lot of times we're trying to help our children and we find things and we'll buy off market things that's not from Walmart or stuff. So I know as a grandmother, I always have my ears open to be able to find things to help my children out, my girls and my son and stuff. So that's another way to earn some money. And then if you have children, grandparents and aunts and uncles, if you have children and they've outgrown the kids' clothing or strollers and cribs and things like that, it's another way for you to make money that you can either pay your bills or help them make their bill payments and stuff. So that's another resource that y'all could come together and team up to start a little resale business. So don't forget that you have an opportunity to take and make money in so many different ways. The marketplace is so vast. So, don't forget, if you know your neighbor has kids, a lot of times the younger generation, they don't want to clean things up. They don't want to resell them. But you take them and you start a little business of your own. And that's another way. Hi, how are you doing? That's just another way for you to take and make income for yourself. I met a lady years ago and stuff when I started reselling, and she was selling for other people in her family and stuff. I did some reselling for a few people and stuff, things on eBay. So there are marketplaces out there that you can take what you have and get them together and just start reselling and earning that money that you become your own boss. A lot of times we haven't really been taught in the school system purposely how to do our own business and stuff, but we can learn. You can do research, you can Google, you can go online. There's so many different things that you can do to begin to take and earn money and stuff and pay those bills, help your family, help your children. My daughter, when she her kids outgrow the things, she'll go, "Hey, mom, I got this or I got that," and I take them. I clean them up, I post them, and I resell them and stuff. And then she's like, "Hey, mom, keep the money," and stuff like that. So don't forget that there's other ways that you can use to take and make money and make ends meet and stuff like that. So, just be aware that you can resell. Now it's springtime, we're going into summer, people are putting things out. There's another way to shop in that source. So, like I said, I teach reselling and I encourage you, that's what God used. I've been a single mom and that was one source that I had another source of income in that business. I've also sold, did vending. I did hot dogs. I did water. That was other vending resources. So there is ways to make income. If you have recipes, you could do online. You could start doing like a little YouTube channel. So I'm speaking to those people who are have a need. They need money now. You have to work the system because the system's not going to work for you. It's either going to work you, or you're gonna have to take and go out there and you're gonna have to create something that we've all been given the ability as to become business owners and stuff. So business, Walmart always was at Walmart. Somebody had an idea that God blessed them with, and they went and they began to work it. Sell things off market, sell things reselling and stuff. That's what how businesses start. It doesn't take a lot of money in the beginning. You could get your business license, up in a small town and stuff. You could get your vendor's license for literally like $10. You could start that. You could start a home-based business, selling baked goods and stuff and seasonings. So there's different ways that you can go about earning the money to pay those bills and get that gas money and stuff. So, like I was sharing, I was driving down the street today. Somebody just put almost like brand new kids things out and stuff. So I was able to get that stuff and I picked it up. I wipe it up, I clean it off. But with the children items, just remember you cannot use any chemicals on children items. You have to take and use only soapy water. And I'll break a stroller down in a minute and clean it up and stuff. Look like brand new and make sure everything is operating so that it's safe for the child and stuff. So if you're going to go into children clothing reselling, you can do that. If you're going to go into, the barter and trade, eBay, if you're going to do like once upon a child, those things have to be clean. If you're going to go to a consignment store, you can do consignment stuff. So there are ways to earn money to take and pay those bills every day. You got to be consistent and putting those items out there. Sometimes you might start high with the price. Google. When you Google and stuff, you just see what the market is going for with the new stuff, and then you come down some. So you want to have a price that's comparable or comparison to what's, it's new in the store, but then come down maybe half. And then from half and stuff, then you might have to come down a little bit more. But why have the stuff sitting in the house when you can take it out the closet, take it out the boxes, take it out the attic, put it online, do a tag sale to take and make ends meet for you and your family. So there's all kind of things you could do, especially in the economy we're living in now. You gotta have a second source of income or a third source. And I'm not saying go out there and work, a total job. Just start your own little side gig. Start your own little something that you can still be at home with your children for the single parents, for the parents and stuff, instead of just going out there. Start your own business from home. So this is for the teens, if you're young teenage moms and stuff going to school, you could start a business if you're in high school. We don't like seeing our teens, in situations like that, but you have to have a source of income if you're going to take and be able to take care of yourself and your children. So I just wanted to come on and give you some more encouragement to starting those businesses, earning your money, that you don't have to constantly go out there and ask somebody, can you borrow? Don't nobody want to be borrowing for somebody, especially when you borrow it and you got to try to make it back, and then you got to pay them back, and you're still stuck. So, yeah, you can do it. You can make ends meet and take care of your family and do just great and wonderful things and stuff and get it done. Like I said, I was a single mom many years. I had support when God blessed me with a support system, yet at the same time I still had to pay my bills. So that was one of the source of incomes of reselling. And I stress reselling because there's so many things that we just put in the closet, we'll put in the cabinets, and we'll just stuff it in there, and we need money. Pull that stuff out. Pull that stuff out and clean it up. Ask your neighbors and just say, hey, I got this thing, you think you might be interested? You ask your aunts, other people and stuff. So you gotta find people that are interested, and they might just want to buy that crock pot, they might want to buy that steamer. And you say, okay, well, I bought it, I thought I liked it, and then we don't use it. How many appliances are we always in the store buying, and then we get it and we go, I don't really want that. I don't really like that. So go ahead and sell it. Get those kids' clothes, fold them up, get those sneakers, clean those sneakers up, put them online. Go ahead Hi, how are you doing? Put them online and stuff, earn your money and stuff. So soon as I got home, I pulled the stuff out my car. I took pictures of them. I'm gonna put them after I'm getting there. I'm gonna put them online and stuff. The kids things and stuff. And then I'll look at them. I still have younger grandkids, and then I'll put them up there. And I'll ask my daughter, "Hey, do you want this?" Either she'll tell me yes or no. If not, then they're gonna go to Once Upon a Child tomorrow, and they're gonna get sold. But like I said, make sure that the stuff is clean and presentable, and that when people know that you have great things to sell, they'll even come to you and say, "Hey, what do you have?" "Hey, if you see, can you buy this or buy that?" But make sure they give you the money first, because you don't want to buy a whole bunch of product and stuff and then turn around and you don't have a buyer for it and stuff. So it works both ways when you resell. But you can do it. Get that stuff right out, clean it up, put it online. The marketplace don't have a name. The marketplace has greenback. I met a business owner some years ago. He did seafood. He sold seafood for many years in the community I lived in. And I was talking to him one day and I was asking him, and ask business people, don't be afraid to talk to business owners, because some of them, when you talk to them, you ask them how they got started. Hey, what did you use? What was the avenue that you used to start your business? And you'll find out. And one thing he shared with me, he said, when I go to the marketplace, he said, realistically, he said the only thing that the marketplace in that seafood industry and in other industries, the only thing that's going to make the final selection is the greenback. That's what he told me. He said the greenback, whoever comes with the money is the one that a lot of times going to get the product. So be willing to negotiate. Be willing to say, hey, sometimes you might have to go down. People are coming, they'll go below half price and stuff. And you say, well, no, you got to negotiate with people so that people will take and buy the products and stuff. And you don't want to lose, you don't want to give it away, but you've got to still make a profit. You want to make more than what you pay for it, or when you picked it up, something that's a fair exchange for your product. Now we're going into the arena a lot in the marketplace. Been checking it. They're doing barter and trade again. If you have an item that you could put out there and somebody else has something, then you can barter and trade for it and stuff. But remember, safety when you're doing reselling. I have a little system I created. I'm going to be doing a class teaching those who are interested. Please share this video with someone and they're going through a tough time and they need to take and be able to earn money. And right now, they don't even have a babysitter where they could consistently go into the marketplace. They're home with their kids and stuff. They're trying to put food on the table, pay the bills and stuff. Please share this video with them, because they need to know that they don't have to give up and give up their housing, that they can earn a living. They just need to know the system of how to go about doing it. My name is Fern.